Let there be light, and there was light. So now we have called on the gods, and we have known that they have taken their right positions within us, because we are a capsule, we are a channel, we are um, a frame or a template that the gods operate through. And it's important that we get to understand how they operate, their nature, what are they serving. For instance, we have the created God. Now, I really felt a need to really go back to exploring the gods, and so much information is coming through, but I'm feeling that unless we really get to understand the nature of the gods, each of the gods of Genesis, we are talking about 14 gods of Genesis. And if you are new to this, they are the Soul God, the Set God, the Soul God, the Breathe God, the Blessed God, the Cause God, the Created God, the Caused God. That's the God who causes things. That's the God who creates. That's the God who uh, created, cause, and called, and the one who calls. So I'm doing them in the first letter, the C, for instance, and the God who made, and the God who moved, the God who planted, and the God who divided, and the God who planted. So I call them the God, the said God, and so on, the blessed God, and so on. So this gives us an understanding already of the characteristics of the gods. One thing that I came across, for instance, that if you really, for instance, when I'm reading and I want to really understand what I'm reading, I call upon the created God, because the word read is very clear in the created God, for instance. So I say, let the created God, so we have created. It's the for reading is also in the breath, Breathed. So we have RE. Now, I would like to term these really, this series of videos, for instance, I would like to term them as the hidden gods of Genesis, but hidden in plain sight, which is what is saturated in on YouTube, in the sense of there's a lot of revelation coming out now. It's a lot. So basically, the 14 gods are so hidden in plain sight that they are termed in this way. Now, I believe that as well, to coincide with the numerical construct that the King James Bible has been formulated on, or made up, or however we want to term this, is that the numerical value would carry a weight, a frequency that would be in alignment with each of the gods. Each particular god would have this numerical vibration that would fall in alignment with his characteristics. So the created God, for instance, has a numerical value of 11, and we have spoken about 11. 11, for instance, has in it the 9. So when we do the numerical value for the word the word 11, it gives us 9. And of course, let's just do this. I am going over this because I'm believing, even if I have gone through them, I have done these maths, that it seemed to beckon a deeper or more familiar visitation of the characteristics of the gods. So, for instance, created is 3, 951 254. So when we add these together, for instance, 9, that's 11, 12, yes, that's 12, and 14 would be 26, plus 3 is 29. So 2 plus 9 equals 11. So 1 plus 1 is also 2. So created carries that 911 vibration right here. So when we do the numerical value for the word 11, ELEVEN, is 5 3 5 4 5 5. Now talking about things being hidden in plain sight, there is so much with the even here, even, and of course 11. I don't know if that really but there's a liver, the word liver, there's not an R here. Okay, but we have Eve in here, and we know even what it means to be even here. So this is just an example of what I'm saying here. With so much information in words that we seem to have taken for granted, while people are talking about Jehovah or Emmanuel or El Shaddai, and there is lots of going on, which amazes me. I have been reading the scriptures, and it's always, and thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. But the Lord thy God has not really given a name yet. Apart from one part, we see that the jealous God is a jealous God, something to that effect. I, the Lord, am a jealous God, or I, the Lord, who's got the name jealous, is jealous, something. So adding this together, this is 20, this is 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. So, of course, the numerical value for the word 9 is 5955. Again, we see all these fives like it were in 11, the word 11 as well. So that's 15, that's 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. So we can see, I'm glad to be doing 24 here, because we can see in Mother Eve's spell, when Mother Eve says, let there be light, and there was light, Mother Eve had connected on this 11 vibration where it comes into this 9. It is, as I have shown in other presentations, if we did the numerical value even for the word 24, let's see, I know I have done this before and I was pretty amazed. So 20 is 8 and 4 is actually 6. So when we add this together, this gives us 14. So we can see, talking about the name of God that we have been going on about, have we been taking it for granted to consider Mother Eve as the God? Right here, EVE, adding this together, 545 equals 14. 1 plus 4 is 5, which again coincides perfectly with the I am that I am, when God said to Moses that, or referred to himself, that I am that I am. Of course, this is where he's not saying this is my name, but this is the characteristics of God. He says, I am that I am. So I am that. Let's do that. So this is 914. Again, we see the AM is really Mother Eve here again. So AM, it's like morning. Okay, the AM or the PM. So again, this is another thing Though we often, or I was going to say about the sun rising because I have just done a presentation on the sun, but let's leave that for another time. This is 2812. Adding this together gives us 13. We have seen how 13 is really the God. I have done this, and I think when we do the numerical value for the word 13, it might come up to 31, so or something there like that, or 8. But let's stick to this. Let's just learn this. So this is 1 plus 3 is 4, and of course this is 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 9. So 9 and 9 is 18. So I am that I am. So we could add these two together to find out what we are adding to that. So I am is added to that, but God said I am that I am. So that is here, and I am equals 14. So 1 plus 4 is 5. So we see that 5 plus, let's see, let's look at this before I go into this. Let's go over this again. So this is 9, this is 5, this is 4. So I am that, and it's I am. So this is what we are adding, right? So this is 14, this would be 18. 18 plus 5 here would give us 23. 2 plus 3 is 5. So we can see here this 5 is the sum that coincides with Mother Eve as in 14, or as the waters which birthed out all sorts of things in Genesis of chapter 1. Okay, and 9:1. Adding this together, this is 17, 18, this would be 23. 2 plus 3 is 5. So there's the power of 23 as well. We can see it really coincides with waters. But the point I really want to bring about is that it is so important for us to recognize Mother Eve. And as I say, we have been reading a lot in the scriptures about, and the Lord said, and the Lord made, and the Lord saw, or the Lord caused. And all these are different lords. When I say I of course term them as God, because, well, it is, and God saw actually, so they are gods. So the gods, and we need to remember about lords, just like we have lords here in the UK, in the lords. In fact, there was something about expressing, someone was telling me about the duties of the lords, that they, once they have said something, that is it, that will not be overturned. And so there are regulations where they are not even meant to interfere. So meaning, this is what I believe, that the scriptures were written on this, or these were written on the principles of the scriptures, that there are times that the gods cannot intervene in what we are doing, and so we need to be inviting them, or we need to acknowledge their presence and really be the ones to say, okay, this is, but taking ownership that we are the expressions of the gods. By our words, we express the words of the gods, we express the talents and gifts and so on. They have permeated through our senses, and so we are the ones to really now pass on the baton, so to speak, and say, let us make man in our image after our likeness, because the gods cannot really operate without us. In fact, we have so been that instrument that we have become the gods. And so we need, it's not to dishonor um, their their basis within us. It's to acknowledge their base within us, their makeup within us. But we have a responsibility now to say, okay, let there be light, and there was light. Or let there be gushing waters above the heavens, that which was above the heavens and beneath the ocean, and so on. Let there be rain, let there be sunshine, let there be beauty, because we are the ones who are making meaning of those things. We are the ones who are putting the label on those things. It's like whatever Adam had named something, that's what it was called. And so we are, excuse me, now meant to do the calling. That's why Mother Eve has beckoned us to get to know the called God. The called God is the first God who attends to us. So we have to call the God, the called God. We see that in every catastrophic event that had taken place in the scriptures, there was a calling, and God called Abram, and God called or said, you shall not call your wife Sarah anymore, she is Sarah. And they called the baby Emmanuel. They called and Noah called. Uh, there was a calling with Noah somewhere, but there's that call. So we are now being encouraged or being asked by Mother Eve or through Mother Eve. This, of course, this is another representation of Mother Eve as the sun. Okay, I know I did speak of the waters a while ago, but as the sun. Now, there's a thing, just to wrap or put a, a clearer meaning to this while I said as the sun. It's like people. Mother Eve is every living thing, because we heard this as well where Adam said, and he named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all living. Now, because she was, but we see that everything is still alive and still living. And so we see even in the word living is like Eve. I know it's Livi, but it is, the Eve is still there. The Eve of something, that is what Eve means, the Eve of any event. So basically, where there is the sun that needed to be projected out, Eve is still part of that projection or that which was projected. And so that is the other polarity or the other side or dichotomy of that which Eve represents. So basically, we are seeing that or understanding that the gods are all part of our makeup, male, female. So we are constructs of the gods, or the gods become constructs of ourselves. That is something for us to learn to make sense of in whichever way we look at it. So there we are. As I said, this is like the sun or the moon. They both, we look up and we see both up in the sky. Then we see that the sun, of course, is that which we see in the day, and the moon we see by night. Now, isn't it also very ironic that we could see the moon in the sky during the daytime as well, but not the sun in the nighttime? So that is saying something very powerful. Perhaps this is when we have the ability to see both sides or both spectrum of the same thing or entity. It's like seeing the hand, as I continue to say. So we are able to see the palm and the back of the hand, or reflections of both aspects of that which is. So it is really a wonderful thing. Now, as I say, I feel that that the in my previous video that I was prompted to make a declaration of my acknowledgement of the gods taking their positions within me. And by them taking their positions within me, I honored and acknowledged that their characteristics and makeup were functional within me. And I needed to permit that characteristic to be within me and reside and work through me. This is what I feel we ought to do. So I hope you have enjoyed this. Do join me again when we explore more on the gods.